So my name is Ogie Sheehy and I'm the founder and the CEO of Vitlarity. Vitlarity is a Tralee-based software company and we specialise in audit, risk and compliance software. We provide the tools to two sectors primarily. So we provide it to healthcare and to financial services. So in healthcare, we supply the software to hospitals, nursing homes, mental health institutions, and we help them to comply with the HIQA standards, so standards that they need to govern the hospitals by. And we do that in Ireland, in the UK and in the US. And on the financial services side, we provide the software to banks, to credit unions, asset management firms. And again, we help them to manage their risk and their compliance in their financial institutions. So we merged with PolicyWorks in February of 2020. Over the previous years, we had tried a number of market entry strategies with the US. And to get a proper foothold in the US market proved challenging for us. Over the years, we had tried partnerships, we had tried joint ventures, we had tried to sell directly even from Ireland here. And as an Irish technology firm, that presented a lot of challenges. So the opportunity for us to merge with a firm that already had a presence on the ground in the US, that had people, that had headcount, was quite attractive for us. So I suppose with that in mind, as the opportunity came to us and having previously tried other market entry strategies, it was very attractive for us. Way back when we initially started trying to penetrate into the US market, we tried to do it directly. So we tried to sell here, market from Ireland into the US. Very quickly realized that there was a number of barriers that prevented that from happening and from being successful. So we knew we needed some sort of a presence on the ground in the US. So we set up a US firm, a US company. So it gave us kind of an entity or a base in the US. However, again, that presented lots of challenges. We didn't have people on the ground there. Over the years, we then tried to hire people on the ground. But again, for a company of our size, that's a very expensive route to take. But we did it and gave it a go. Again, it wasn't successful. Moderate success. We then tried partnerships. So where you work with a reseller, distributor, or maybe a firm who will sell your software with their services. And where the model was good, again, it had quite moderate success and really didn't give us the opportunity to scale into the US market like we had wanted to do it. So I suppose as we were, trying and failing, and we were, testing how we could do best, the opportunity to do a proper merger and have a presence on the ground in the US, double in size, and have entry to a market that we want to get to. So its market access was a huge, attractive piece of this merger. That became very attractive for us, and that's why we went down that road. So the merger agreement is quite complex. It's not an easy thing to do. So I suppose the first thing we did was met with the company in question. We very quickly realized that there was very strong synergies between the culture of the people on both companies. They had been operating very successfully in a market that we wanted to get access to in the US. So again, I guess that ticked a lot of boxes. So as we initiated the conversation, we were purely focused on technology and they had been purely focused on services. So the marriage of the two companies was a really nice fit. And I suppose once those very high level tick boxes were kind of ticked, we were then knew that it was something we should pursue more. So to take it to the next level down involves a lot of detail, a lot of conversations, a lot of financial analysis in terms of is it the right thing to do, a lot of risk analysis and risk assessment about the pros and the cons. But I guess as we took the high level framework and worked it all the way down, we realized that the opportunity for both firms, in fact, to merge together to provide a more comprehensive offering. So it was now a product and service offering together rather than two independent offerings, was really attractive. And we knew that's what the market needed. We were in similar markets geographically. We were both operating quite heavily in credit unions at the time. And scope to do a lot more. So I suppose we built the framework of the high level agreement and brought it all the way down to, I guess, conclusion. So to get into something as complicated as a merger like we did is scary in many ways, because you're busy running your own business here in Ireland. I guess complexity came along with cross-border. So it was a US firm, we're an Irish firm. So there was a lot of advice needed to do it right. So I guess corporate finance and business advice was one layer, and that's just looking at the general business opportunity, looking at our current position, look at the strategic plan for us as a firm and what that would look like if we merged. There's obviously a lot of huge legal implications in doing what we did. Again, comes with the complexity of corporate law US versus corporate law Ireland, and how you merge an Irish firm into a US firm. And again, just general business advice. So, we did a lot of corporate advisors who were, looking at the merger, who would experience in merging, to be honest, coupled with the financial piece and the legal piece. But there's a lot of advice locally, other firms, other entrepreneurs who had done similar types of activities who gave great advice as well. So there's a lot of changes with corporate legislation. We obviously now have a firm on the ground in the US. It's based in Des Moines, in Iowa. Different region, different state, different regulations, as we have a business here in the EU. So even contracts with our customers, just legalities around staff and employees and travel. There's a lot of complexities in it. Our team in the US are a phenomenal team. They're very experienced. And because we operate in the areas of regulatory compliance anyway, we've got a lot of expertise that can help us and support us. One of the bigger benefits, I suppose, of a merger like this is that we've joined a firm that have a huge support infrastructure around them. So they have legal teams, marketing teams that we can leverage from now as well, not just for the US market entry, but also for the Irish market. So there's a lot involved in integrating two entirely separate companies, both the people, the culture, the processes, and there will be impacts in terms of legislation on both sides. But I think it's a process we're working through, and I think we're quite comfortable that it's going to be very successful. So it's early stage for us to be carrying out assessments as such. However, though, getting into the merger, we had quite clearly planned the trajectory of the business in the context of what risks would it pose. So we were quite clear about that up front. The merger closed on February 17th, 2020, so it's just a couple of months in. But we've very clear financial targets. So I think on a monthly basis, we're very closely monitoring our revenue, and we're very closely monitoring our costs, and any of the risks that might arise in the business. And again, as I mentioned, merging two companies, two cultures, two different groups of people, targeting a new market, brings with it challenges, but it's hugely exciting. So, I mean, I anticipate, we'll keep the finger on the pulse as we go on month. I would say probably on a 6-month and an annual basis, we would do a deeper dive in terms of success. What's it look like? Are there issues? Are there risks that we didn't anticipate? Thankfully, I think by doing a lot of the upfront due diligence, so as you enter the merger process, and I mentioned the framework, in there is a lot of due diligence on them and us on them, just to make sure that the fit is right. And I think if the fit is truly right, then you need to be able to pivot quickly. And I think that's a really key point. If you can get into a new market and find you're in the wrong space, or you've encountered some issues, you need to just be able to pivot. And if you have that as a skill, I think then you're set up for success. Yeah, I spent a number of years trying to enter the US market, and did so, I won't say very unsuccessfully, but certainly very moderately. There's a massive opportunity, and I think trying to do it from Ireland is a challenge. There's different stages and different things you can do. It involves a lot of investment. But what I would say is to take it seriously and look for like-minded people. If you can get the sum of the parts, I guess, people that are like-minded that can help you enter the market in the US, it's a winner in terms of getting a merger over the line. It's a scary prospect because you join forces with a whole other team of people, and there's a lot involved in integrating two groups of people. But if you can get to a place where you have the right people with the right goals and you're focused in the same direction, then I think it's a really, really positive opportunity. For companies that are looking to enter the market, there's lots of ways to do it, and setting up an office and very expensive, hiring 6, 7, 8 people, it's a hugely expensive and high risk way to do it. A merger is an opportunity where there's a company that do something similar to you, where there's synergies between both companies. So if you could find that fit, it's a great place to be. And the other thing I'd say is advice. You can never get enough advice, whether it is family advice on just to bring you back down to ground level and just give you some grounding advice. Other entrepreneurs have been hugely beneficial to me, just people you can pick the phone up and bounce questions off of. And one in particular that helped me substantially with my decision to merge, a Cork-based entrepreneur. So I think having advisors and people around you can reach out to, I think is always very helpful.